You ever have one of those days where you're just trying to get through, mind your own business, but the world decides to put you under a spotlight? That's how it started for Evelyn Harper, a 68-year-old woman who walked into the federal building in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina, on a rainy Tuesday morning. She wasn't looking for attention, but man, did she get it. It's pouring outside, the kind of rain that makes you feel like the sky's got a personal grudge. Inside, the security line's a mess, people grumbling, phones glowing, everyone just wanting to get through the checkpoint and on with their day. Evelyn's standing there, silver hair tucked into a neat bun, her coat still damp from the downpour, holding a beat-up duffel bag and a small suitcase. She's not slouching like the guy in front of her, scrolling through his phone, or fidgeting like the woman behind her, tapping her foot like she's got somewhere better to be. No, Evelyn's still, hands clasped, eyes straight ahead, like she's been through worse lines than this and came out fine. The security officer, a guy named Carl, mid-30s, uniform a little too tight, permanent scowl etched on his face, scans the line like he's hunting for trouble. His eyes land on Evelyn, and you can tell he's already decided she's hiding something. Maybe it's the way she's too calm, too composed for a place like this. He waves her forward with a flick of his hand, sharp, like he's swatting a fly. ID, he says, palm out, voice flat but laced with that edge of authority he probably practices in the mirror. Evelyn pulls an ID from her purse, hands it over. The card's old, edges yellowed, like it's seen a few decades. Carl flips it over, squints, then looks up with a smirk. "This is expired, ma'am." Evelyn doesn't flinch. Her voice is soft, steady, like she's explaining something to a kid who's not listening. The appointment letter said it'd be fine. She reaches into her bag, pulls out a crisp envelope with a government seal, and hands it to him. Carl barely glances at it before shoving it back. "What's your business here?" he asks, louder now, like he wants the whole line to hear. Evelyn pauses, just a beat, and says, "It's personal." That's it. 2 words, calm as you please. But to Carl, it's like she's thrown down a gauntlet. His eyes narrow, and you can see the wheels turning, thinking, "Oh, you're one of those. The kind who thinks they're special." He calls over his buddy, Mike, another officer with a buzz cut and a name tag that says Mitchell. Mike saunters over, already mirroring Carl's suspicion, like they've got a script for this. "Step aside, ma'am," Mike says, pointing to a table. Evelyn moves, smooth and precise, almost like she's snapping to attention, and when she says, "Yes, sir," there's a flicker of surprise on Carl's face. He points at her duffel. "Open it." Evelyn's voice stays quiet, but there's a weight to it now. "Can I have a private screening?" Carl and Mike exchange a look, like they're sharing a private joke. "No," Carl says, leaning in just enough to make it personal. "Open it here." The rain's still hammering the windows, and the crowd's starting to notice. A couple of office workers pause, their coffee cups forgotten, phones creeping out to record. Evelyn sets the duffel on the table, unzips it halfway, and says again, "I'd prefer privacy." Carl's done playing nice. He snaps on a pair of latex gloves, the sound cutting through the hum of the checkpoint like a warning shot. "Since you're being difficult, we'll do it ourselves," he says, loud enough for the crowd to hear. Mike starts pulling stuff out of the bag: a bottle of pills, a worn copy of some old poetry book, a framed photo wrapped in cloth. Each item hits the table with a little less care than the last, like they're putting on a show. A woman in line, maybe 30, clutching a briefcase, mutters to her friend, "This feels wrong." Her friend nods, but doesn't look away. The crowd's growing now, maybe a dozen people, drawn to the drama like moths to a flame. Carl holds up a small, ornate key, dangling it like it's evidence in a courtroom. "What's this?" he asks, smirking. Evelyn's eyes lock onto it, and for a second, there's something there, not fear, not anger, but something heavy, like she's seeing a ghost. "It opens something that should have stayed closed," she says, her voice distant but clear. Carl laughs, a sharp bark. "What? You a spy movie fan or something?" The crowd chuckles nervously, but Evelyn doesn't react. She's still, like she's been through worse than this and knows how to wait it out. Mike pulls out a notebook, flips it open, and reads something, butchering the pronunciation. "Dresdenville, 1978. "What's that? Your book club?" Evelyn doesn't answer, just keeps her eyes forward, like she's staring through him. Carl's getting irritated now. You can see it in the way his jaw tightens. He digs deeper into the bag, pulls out a small box, and pops it open without asking. Inside's a metal pin, simple but heavy, definitely military. "What's this, a souvenir?" he asks, tossing it onto the table. It clatters, and Evelyn's eyes follow it, the first crack in her armor. "Careful with that, please," she says, barely above a whisper. Carl rolls his eyes. "What? It's valuable." Evelyn's voice is steady, but there's an edge now. Not in money. By now, the crowd's at least 20 people, and the air's thick with tension. A woman steps forward, her voice sharp. "Is this really necessary? You've already checked everything." Carl glares at her. "Security protocol, ma'am." "Step back." Evelyn gives the woman a small nod, like she's saying, "Thanks for trying," but her face stays calm, almost resigned. Carl's about to open the last compartment of the duffel, the one Evelyn's been most protective of, when a tall man in a crisp military uniform strides into the atrium. He's older, maybe 70, with a chest full of ribbons and stars on his shoulders that scream high rank. He's heading for another checkpoint, but his eyes catch the scene unfolding at Evelyn's. Carl doesn't notice him yet. He's too busy playing to the crowd, unzipping that final compartment with a slow, dramatic pull. "Let's see what else you're hiding," he says, reaching inside. He pulls out a folded piece of fabric, shakes it open, and the crowd gasps. It's a military uniform jacket, deep blue, pristine, with medals and patches that don't look like anything you'd find in a costume shop. Carl's smirk fades as he turns it over, squinting at the insignia. Even he can tell something's off. These aren't standard issue. Mike steps closer, his brow furrowing. "These markings. I've never seen some of these before." "Is this a costume?" Carl asks, but his voice isn't as cocky now. "You going to a reenactment or something?" Evelyn's eyes are on the jacket, and for the first time, you see something like sadness mixed with pride. "It's not a costume," she says quietly. Mike's still studying the jacket, pointing at a faded name tag. "Harper," he reads. "Evelyn Harper." "So it's yours." Evelyn nods. "Check the service number," she says, her voice calm but firm. "It'll match my ID." Mike compares the numbers, and his face changes, like he's just realized he's stepped into something bigger than he expected. "They match," he mutters. A guy in the crowd, older, maybe a vet himself, steps forward. "That patch there," he says, pointing. "I've only seen it in old photos, classified ops from the 70s. Carl snaps at him to step back, but the seed's planted. The crowd's not laughing anymore. They're starting to wonder who this woman really is. Mike's scrolling on a tablet now, muttering about military records, but nothing's coming up for Evelyn Harper in the public database. "Convenient," Carl sneers, but he's losing his edge. He picks up one of the medals, and it slips, hitting the floor. Evelyn flinches, steps forward, and picks it up herself, holding it like it's made of glass. "This was for Dresdenville," she says softly. "3 of us got it. I'm the only one left." That shuts Carl up for a second. Even he can feel the weight of her words. "What's Dresdenville?" Mike asks, genuinely curious now. Evelyn's voice is steady, but you can hear the years behind it. "It's what you read in the notebook." And that's all I can say. The crowd's buzzing now, phones out, some kids Googling Dresdenville, and coming up empty except for a vague mention in a declassified Cold War file. The tall military guy's getting closer, his eyes locked on the jacket in Carl's hands. He's moving with purpose now, like he knows exactly what's going on. Carl's still holding the jacket, but his hands are gentler now, like he's afraid to break it. "Last chance," he says, trying to keep control. "Anything you want to tell us before we see what else is in here?" Evelyn looks him dead in the eye. "I'm not hiding anything. I just value my privacy." Mike chimes in, quoting some handbook line about privacy being a luxury in security situations, but it sounds hollow now. The military officer's almost at the checkpoint, and the crowd parts for him like he's Moses at the Red Sea. "Is that Captain Harper's uniform you're holding, officer?" the man says, his voice cutting through the noise like a blade. The whole checkpoint goes quiet. Carl stammers. We're just doing a routine check, sir." The officer is name tag, says General Grayson. Looks at Evelyn, and for a second, they just stare at each other, like they're seeing ghosts. Then he snaps a salute, crisp and perfect. "Captain Harper," he says. "Been a long time." Evelyn returns the salute, her movements sharp, like she's 20 again. "General Grayson," she says. 40 years, give or take." The crowd's murmuring now, and Carl, and Mike looked like they just stepped on a landmine. You know her, sir? Mike asks, his voice small. Grayson's eyebrows shoot up. Know her? Captain Evelyn Harper was one of the best I ever served with. Her unit's file was declassified last month, which is why we're here today. He turns to the officers, his voice calm but heavy. I'd appreciate it if you'd return her belongings with the respect they deserve. Carl's face is white as a sheet. He starts folding the uniform like it's made of gold, muttering, Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Grayson keeps going, loud enough for everyone to hear. Captain Harper's here to receive the Distinguished Service Cross. The President himself is presenting it, for actions that couldn't be acknowledged until now. The crowd gasps again. That's the second highest military honor. You can get heroism in combat, the kind of thing most people only read about in history books. Evelyn takes the jacket back, her fingers brushing the fabric like it's an old friend. Carl's trying to save face. We were just following protocol, sir. Grayson's not having it. Protocol includes dignity, officer. Remember that. Mike's scrambling to gather Evelyn's things, handling them like they're museum artifacts. The crowd's filming, but it's different now, not a spectacle, but a moment. A young woman in the crowd, the one who Googled Dresdenville, is typing again, probably tweeting the whole thing. Grayson turns to Evelyn. Your team's file just came out of the shadows. The country can finally thank you for what you did. Evelyn's voice is quiet, almost sad. Most of my team isn't here to see it. Grayson nods. 5 of you left, out of 17. You'll all be honored today. Mike, still processing, asks, Sir, what did her unit do? Grayson looks at Evelyn, who gives a small nod. Special Operations Group Delta, he says. Mixed gender unit, worked behind enemy lines in conflicts we never officially joined. They pulled off missions that changed the Cold War intel, extractions, the works. Captain Harper's language skills made her a linchpin. Carl's jaw drops. Mixed gender? But women weren't in combat back then. Grayson smirks, echoing Evelyn's earlier line. Officially. The crowd's buzzing again, some pointing at Evelyn with respect, others just staring, trying to wrap their heads around it. A young security officer, a woman named Sarah, steps forward, her voice shaky. Ma'am, thank you for your service. Evelyn looks at her, softens. What's your name, officer? Sarah Brooks, ma'am. Evelyn nods. The best service happens in the dark, Sarah. No one watching, no one clapping. Remember that. Grayson escorts Evelyn to the elevators, the crowd parting like they're royalty. Carl and Mike are left standing there, looking like they just got schooled in front of the whole class. We screwed up, Mike mutters. Carl's defensive. How were we supposed to know? An older guy in the crowd overhears, shakes his head. Maybe that's the point. You don't know who someone is just by looking. Upstairs, the ceremony's in a grand hall, sunlight pouring through the windows now that the rain's cleared. Rows of chairs are filled with military folks, government types, and families of the veterans being honored. Evelyn joins the other survivors of her unit, a handful of gray-haired men and women who greet her with quiet nods, the kind of bond that doesn't need words. They're all that's left of a team that went through hell together. The president walks in, and the room hushes. One by one, the survivors are called up. When it's Evelyn's turn, she walks to the podium, back straight, like she's still in uniform. The president pins the medal on her jacket, reads from her file. Captain Harper's actions in Operation Dresdenville saved 37 hostages and stopped a crisis that could have set the world on fire. Evelyn salutes, her face calm, but you can see it in her eyes. She's not thinking of herself. She's thinking of the ones who didn't make it. After, there's a reception, all clinking glasses and chatter. Evelyn's off to the side, holding a glass of water, watching the room like she's still on a mission. Grayson finds her. How's it feel, being out in the open after all these years? Evelyn shrugs, a little wry. Strange. We were told to never talk about it, and now they want speeches. Grayson chuckles. The world's ready for your story now. Evelyn raises an eyebrow. Is it? Or is it just that the people who wanted it buried are gone? Before he can answer, Sarah Brooks, the young security officer, walks up, nervous in her civilian clothes. Captain Harper, I hope I'm not bothering you. I wanted to apologize for earlier, for how you were treated. Evelyn's kind, but direct. You didn't do it, Sarah. Sarah shakes her head. But I didn't stop it either. And what you said, about service in the dark, it stuck with me. Evelyn studies her, then asks, Why do you take the job, Sarah? Sarah blinks, caught off guard. To protect people, I guess. To serve. Evelyn nods. And do you feel like you're doing that? Sarah hesitates. Not always. Sometimes it's just power trips. Evelyn's eyes soften, but her voice is firm. That's the trap. Power makes you forget why you're there. Dignity's what keeps you grounded, not just yours, but everyone's. Sarah nods, taking it in, and walks away, like she's got a lot to think about. Grayson smiles. You got through to her. Evelyn shrugs. She already knew it. Sometimes people just need permission to believe themselves. The reception's winding down, and Evelyn's ready to go. She picks up her duffel, the metal tucked inside with the uniform. Outside, the rain's gone, the streets shining clean. Sarah's waiting by the entrance, out of uniform now, looking like any other 20-something. Captain Harper, she calls, a little shy. Is it okay if I walk with you? I've got questions about service, about what it means. Evelyn looks at her, then nods. They start walking, and Evelyn doesn't talk about missions or medals. She talks about duty, about standing tall when the world tries to knock you down, about respecting people even when they don't make it easy. Behind them, the federal building looms, still processing people through its checkpoints, some important, some ordinary, all just trying to get through. But Evelyn Harper's story, the way she carried herself through that mess, it's the kind of thing that sticks with you. It makes you wonder who's standing in line next to you, what stories they're carrying that nobody sees. And that's the thing, isn't it? We judge what we can see: clothes, age, attitude, but the real stuff, the weight people carry, it's invisible. Was Carl just doing his job, or was he flexing power because he could? Was Evelyn's silent strength, or was it her way of protecting a past too heavy to share? I don't have the answers, but I'd love to hear what you think. Drop a comment, tell me, where do you draw the line between security and respect? Have you ever seen someone judged unfairly, or maybe been on the other side of it? Share your story, because honestly, that's what keeps these conversations alive. If this hit you like it hit me, give it a like, share it with someone who gets it, and maybe subscribe for more stories about the people who remind us what dignity really looks like.